we have been conducting these online sessions now, as most of the world has moved on to this forum, to this format. This is the first one from this committee, with somebody like Mr. Lokesh Kumar, who is the most relevant one in that sense as the first one. We have had the earlier conversations as well. We'll continue to do many more of those, and I'm really keen and looking forward to hear. So with that, I'm just going to hand it over to you, Sudhanva, and please conduct the session, and I'm keen to listen to it. Thank you.
Nambiar sir, a few opening words from you.
Yeah, at the outset, on behalf of the expert community, I would like to thank the Government of India for taking very proactive decisions considering the peculiar situation where we are in today, by extending the validity of FTP by 1 year, and also the validity of the the import licenses, export obligations, the inspection agencies, validity of inspection agencies, and the MES scheme, etc., etc. So these are all the if you read that foreign trade policy, the specific chapter relating to export promotion and all the cases where government has taken very preventive action, and we thank you for on behalf of the expert community, and that can be communicated to the DG by our Honorable Lokesh ji. So since you have a presentation, let us see your presentation. After that, we will maybe some queries are there. We may raise that, we answer that, or try to answer, or obtain answer later. And I welcome on behalf of the Foreign Trade Committee, the Joint Director of Foreign Trade, Mr. Lokesh ji, and also Mr. Rupesh Kumar Sharma ji from Exim Bank. And also, I am very keen to see the presentation of the ACGC also. So I welcome all members who are present here, and also thank Mr. Kopatekar and his team for arranging the second in series of this video conference on behalf of this committee. Over to Sudhanva.
Lokesh sir, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. At the outset, I would like to thank the Chamber for organizing such an event. Times have been difficult for the industry and the lives of the people as well. And the government has taken a balanced decision to handle both the situations. And the Ministry of Home Affairs has considered some of the services essential, and central government offices have been opened. However, Pune and Mumbai being under containment zones, restrictions have been imposed by the state government. So we are finding it difficult to work from the office. Most of the works are being handled from home, like the MES or minor issues in SCA scheme. We are also addressing the concerns of the exporters on mail. We are somehow managing with the local authorities to attend important issues by visiting the office with skeleton staff. I do not have any presentation to make here because everybody are aware of the issues, and there have not been much changes in the FTP or procedures. Nambiar has already spoke about the changes pertaining to extension of the FTP as a whole. MES has been extended up to 31st December 2020. And MES, as you know, it's system based. So we are able to grant the benefits to the exporters by working from home itself. And the validity of most of the authorizations issued under EPCG or advanced authorization schemes have been automatically extended. Means the exporters need not visit our office or make an application. the validity and export obligation periods are automatically extended if such periods were expiring between 1st February 2020 and 31st July 2020. All such authorizations have been automatically extended by 6 months. And wherever people have already obtained revalidations or export obligation period extensions, and such extended period is expiring in this window, then such authorizations needs to be extended by us. So I request the chamber to convey to all exporters within our jurisdiction, if there are any such exporters, they may send their documents by mail to us. We will be examining them and also inform them whether their case is acceptable for enhancement of validation period or export obligation period, and we will try to do it on the basis of mail itself. If at all there are any such deficiencies, we will communicate to them. But at the same time, there are certain authorizations which were issued on security paper in the past. For such authorizations, I regret to inform that we will not be able to grant revalidation or EOP extensions, because such revalidations or extensions have to be endorsed on the face of the authorization. So those are physical authorizations. But however, even in such cases, if exporters want to know whether their application are correct or documentary requirements are fulfilled in such cases, they may mail to us. We will confirm them as and when this lockdown period opens, lockdown period closes, we will be endorsing them on priority basis. We are also making efforts to talk to the postal office people. Our staffs are visiting the postal department. However, the postal services are also not operating as usual. So there will be certain difficulties. We will have to manage with them, and whatever issues can be handled by local officers, I request exporters to convey it to us so that we can handle them. And any issues which are to be flagged to the DGFT headquarters, that may also be communicated to us so that we will take up. I want to assure the exporters through the chamber times to support you in all possible manners. And that's it. We will handle any issues or queries if exporters have. Such issues will be individually addressed. I think that's it from my side. Sudhanvaji?
Sudhanva, can you hear? Nambiar Saab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Logesh, only one a small maybe an understanding or an issue. While the export obligation period under EPCG is extended by another 6 months, because we are not able to fulfill our export obligation. That export obligation got two parts. One is that related to the duty saved under that license. Another is the average export obligation. So probably that for 6 months, this average export obligation fulfillment condition okay, I think need to be waived off. Otherwise, because we are not able to fulfill our basic obligation, and if we have to do even average also, that become double, that will be possible. Therefore, you may probably take it up with the DGFT office on how to address that average export obligation fulfillment. Thank you.
This issue has been noted, and we will be taking up this issue with headquarters. I understand that by granting grace period, we should not be imposing any additional burden on the exporters in these
Yes.
difficult times. I understand this. This will be taken up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Sir, can we request Rupesh Kumar sir to address us now?
Yes, please.
Yes.
First, thanks to Chambers for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of Export-Import Bank of India. As we know, these are the unprecedented times, and we know all the companies, not only the exporters, but all the companies are being impacted, not only in the India, but globally. Yes, the government has taken many decisions. Some of the decisions which were taken by Reserve Bank of India on March 27th, where they have given the moratorium to all the companies for their principal payments as well as the interest payments. I think this has been communicated to all the companies, and majority of the companies, I can tell you, because we have lots of SMEs and MSMEs in our portfolio, and they have availed this benefit because there is a cash flow impact on account of extended working capital limits and also the non-receivables of the debtors. So this I think has been availed by majority of the companies, and also the Reserve Bank of India has come with a decrease in the bank rates by almost 75 bips points, which was immediately given pass through by all the banks, including financial institutions. So we know this is a time when many of the SMEs, MSMEs has been finding, and majority of the companies maybe are under the lockdown, but there are certain companies like pharmaceuticals, specialty chemicals, which has been allowed to operate. But even though they have been allowed to operate, they have been facing it very tough to get appropriate manpower and some logistics. But I think they have been working. There have been some directions from the government. I think these things will fall in line when the lockdown will open. But we believe that this lockdown may continue in certain sections, including Pune and Bombay. Now, what we have been working with some of the companies which are facing the working capital problems is that we are trying to bring in the margin requirements below. I think all the banks are coming together and falling in line and bringing the margin requirements below so that the working capital can be increased. And also we have been working with the companies which have, all the banks have come up with the COVID-19 finance, and all we are trying to mitigate the short-term cash flow mismatch. So by giving in the long-term working capital, to the companies. I think we are already working with some of the SMEs, even though there is a lockdown. I think all banks have been working, I think very vigorously, yes, with a limited staff, but we all are operating and extending the service to the people as well as the corporates. So with this, but we have also done certain surveys with the help of FICCI and other institutions, what all are the requirements of SMEs and MSMEs. I think we have got a couple of good suggestions which we'll already pass to the government, and we'll extend to raise those in the different forums, which also include, some of the points I would like to suggest here are the interest subvention. The SMEs have asked approximately 3% interest subvention, and also to extend this moratorium for next 3 months. So rather than limiting it for only 3 months, they are one of the requests which has come to extend this moratorium for approximately 6 months. So these were the suggestions which we have already extended to the government. I think apart from this, there are many other suggestions like keeping a moratorium on IBC, and there are other suggestions, but I would not like to mention those of the suggestions which were given in that survey. But we are taking this with the government, and if there is any such relaxation, that will be immediately implemented by the banks. As many of you can understand, the banks also do borrow. So even though government giving any extension to the banks as far as the cash flow is concerned, but we should also understand the banks have their own limitations. So we'll be definitely helping all the corporates, SMEs, MSMEs, exporters. But I think what all will be extended by the government, it will be immediately and promptly given to all the corporates. So with this, I will limit my discussion, but I can assure all SMEs, exporters, that the banks will be prompt in the action, and their requirements as far as their existing limits are concerned, they will be freely utilizing it, and we are working very hard so that their margins can be brought down and they can avail their limits to their full extent. So with this, I close my remarks. But as and when we have any special window of finance from the government, we will immediately pass through the information to the MCCA so that you can pass this information to all your companies and constituents. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Okay, so if DG Sir and Chairman permit, we'll show the presentation of the ECGC, then we move to the question answer mode.
That's right, Sudhanva. Go ahead, please.
Yes. So this is the presentation shared by the branch manager of ECGC Pune. So basically this talks about the relaxations given by the ECGC for the benefit of the exporters in this difficult time. So this talks about, I guess everybody is able to hear, but this talks about some extension in the time limits up to 31st of May for all returns, extensions, requests, default notices, notifications, etc. to the policyholders. And for filing up the claim reply to queries also has been extended up to June. Specific shipment policy expiring in March has been also extended up to June. So typically the relaxations given by the DGFT have been reflected in the ECGC mechanism. Also, exporter is allowed to convert the terms of payment from DP to DA for the shipment that has reached the destination but not cleared by the buyer due to lockdown. As we have here, lockdown is also prevalent in many destination countries. So this particular relaxation has been given. So these are the two relaxations. These are the few relaxations given by the ECGC. We'll be happy to share the presentation with the participants along with certain snapshots. Now we can open the floor for questions. We have quite a few of them in the chat box, as I can see. So if DG Sir and Chairman permit, I'll try and run through some of those and request Lokesh Sir or Rupesh Sir to answer. And of course, as expert advice, Chairman can definitely pitch in whenever he can and whenever he likes to. So, sir, there are questions about the EOU. There is a provision that return of goods should be done within 1 year. So some suggestion has come whether is it a valid provision anymore in this globalized world.
Let me check this because I am not handling EOU.
Okay.
Let me check this and we will reply to them. Because there have been certain changes in EOU scheme as well. In chapter 6 as well, we have made certain changes. We will check and let them know.
So unused material, the provision relates to unused material to be returned within a year by the EOU as per the notification issued in 2003. If you look at the chat box, is this not a redundant provision? Because FTP provisions that imported goods will have to be used within the validity period of the LOP. If the provision still holds good, that time limit needs to be extended. That is the.
We will get this clarified.
Oh, thank you. MEIS and RODTEP, you have already clarified. But in case, Lokesh sir, you want to talk about the new scheme that will be unfolding in the next few months, you can share some contours about this.
The scheme has been already approved by the cabinet and rates have not been finalized. The rates are being finalized by the drawback directorate. As and when products are included in the RoDTEP, the basic purpose of RoDTEP scheme is to refund taxes or levies incurred by the exporters, which is not refunded as on date under any of the existing mechanisms of the government. So, as and when products are notified for refund of such taxes or levies, those products will be excluded from MEIS. So the work is in progress. Let us see when the rates are being notified. However, till it is notified, MEIS would continue.
Sure. Thank you. So there are some questions. I think we'll not take the individual issues, but rather stick to the broad level issues. Individual level issues, I request exporters to send it to us we'll compile them and send it to the local joint DGFT office to look at them. So like simple things like amendment in the IEC and the permission not granted for local authority by local authorities in the present lockdown period and all that. This we will, I think we will park it here, but we will try and focus on the broad level issues. So advance, sir.
I am Lokesh here. I want to clarify on certain questions raised by the members in the chat section. Can I proceed?
Please, sir.
The first thing is somebody has asked the DGFT headquarters is working or not, because they wanted to apply for some restricted license. The DGFT headquarters is working, so they can make the application. And the second issue from Mr. Aditya Srinivasan. So the question is whether late cuts are applicable for SEIS and MEIS. The applications will be considered for late cut having consideration of the extended period. So if applications are made beyond this extended period, only then such applications will be considered for late cut. Otherwise, they would get the benefit of extended period without late cut. It has been mentioned in the public notice 67 itself. The para in pertaining to late cut has been amended, taking this into consideration. And Mr. Yogesh Mistry, he has said that he has applied for an advanced license under PC 9 conditions. So, as I said, we are finding it difficult to visit the office and examine the issues. Kindly share this. When we visit the office next, we will attend to this issue. The file number or the name of the firm can be shared with us. And Mr. Kunal Vyavahare, he has said that his advance authorization application is pending for EOP extension. Again, I request him to share the application, so we will examine it.
So,
and the next question is validity of MEIS and SEIS scripts. So this is an issue. It will be flagged to the headquarters, because this issue has not been clarified. It will be flagged. And Mr. Aditya Srinivasan, again question from Aditya Srinivasan. It is regarding time limit for PC 9. So all authorizations have been extended, and it should also be included with this extended provisions, subject to overall conditions for that sector, that drugs from unregistered sources. And
so there is a question about statutory requirements. The closing of import and export bills at the AD need to be simplified in line with those other countries. Request Joint DGFT sir to comment. This is by.
Can you please repeat the issue?
So exporters have too many statutory requirements to fulfill. These need to be reduced. Closing of export and import bills at the AD level or at the bank level need to be simplified in line with those in other countries. Request you to clarify.
We will flag this issue, because if there are any obligations which cannot be fulfilled in this period on account of the lockdown issues, such issues will be flagged.
Sure. So then notification 11 of 4 of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, that is basically the issue relating to the opening of the containment area for export shipment purpose. So some action is starting, some permissions have been given to subject to certain conditions that we know of, but there are only for certain critical categories only, not for general export shipments as of now, it looks like. So is there any update for from Lokesh sir? You can share that, but local condition, this is what is prevalent, that's what we know definitely.
I do not have much to share on this issue.
Sure. Sir, Rupesh sir, you have a question from an agriculture exporter. Is there any services that I can render to Exim Bank?
Yes, thanks. Actually, as you many know that Exim Bank provides two types of services. One is that we provide the refinance facilities to the existing banks. So when the banks require the liquidity, we provide the necessary liquidity to the banks. And the second is we also provide the finance to the existing exporters, but only things we don't provide the services to the traders. So if he is in the business of value addition or export of agriculture, yes, he can approach the Exim Bank for export services. We can provide the packing credit to the company. And also I can see the questions on account of which currency they should get into it, because there is a lots of fluctuation. We always have been advising, and right now it is very important for all the importers and exporters, as in when they are importing or exporting, they should get into the forward contracts with the banks, because it is a very volatile environment. So we request them to get into the forward contracts immediately the moment they are importing or exporting any commodity or merchandise from India, or they are importing anything in the India. So I think these were the predominantly the questions. Yes, there will be questions on any interest subventions. As I have told, as of now, there is no interest subventions announced by the government, but if there is any, we will be immediately implementing such schemes. Not only Exim Bank, but other banks also.
Sir, back to Lokesh sir, there is a question about EPCG authorization. Will the average export obligation will have to be fulfilled to the for the extended period as well?
I think Nambiar sir has raised this issue. So I have already replied on this issue. We will flag this issue to the headquarters.
Yes.
So that there is clarity on the issue.
So, one second. Okay.
And there is a question on DBK also.
Yes.
Some funds have been released a week back. We are in the process of disbursing it to the exporters. Again, in the coming month, that is May 2020, we expect to release more funds to the cases already approved.
One more issue which seems to be the sanctioning of SEIS benefits. Can we get it expedited in these difficult times?
We are trying all our means, but I appreciate the exporting community also understands the special circumstances in Pune. All roads have been sealed. We are trying to address this issue.
Okay. So there is one question from Ashutosh Gokhale. Can MEIS script be utilized for import duty in case it is not transferred from the seller in the lockdown period?
If the transaction has not been completed, the MEIS, the current MEIS holder is always entitled to use it.
Yes.
I do not know in what stage their transaction is held up now. If it is not completed, it belongs to the current holder.
Exporter holder. Yes. Okay. Shipping lines, there is seems to be some problem. We are getting to resolve there, but still some people seem to face certain issues about the logistics. So shipping lines are not able to get them the timely shipments. So I guess till the lockdown period elsewhere is over, we'll have to depend on this particular thing now, because there are empty containers moving from our place to the port and port to the destination of the importer or exporter, as well as the ships moving from each one port to the other, and there are delays not only in India but elsewhere as well. But there are, and of course, general question to Lokesh sir and Nambiar sir and Rupesh sir also. There are a lot of people who are saying whether the force majeure clause is generally applicable in these kind of circumstances, even though it may not have been specifically mentioned in the contracts. So any of the experts can answer this for everybody's consumption. Nambiar sir?
In my opinion, yes, because it's a general calamity having affected the entire world. But it may not be, specifically mentioned about the disease. So it is a situation where there is a beyond the control. I think that we need to take it up with the insurance companies and find out. But there is no clear answer to this question. It's only assumption.
This is not the question of only this, because there are certain things where the export has happened, but the documents are with the importer's bank or exporter's bank. The payments have not been received. Whether it can be treated as a force majeure or not, I think there's a lots of discussions that has been happened and is happening presently on this. I think clear guidelines will come, but at least what has been the request, can the banks be allowed to consider that in the DP, because that will bring in the liquidity in the system, because that is very important for the companies also. I think that is been under discussion with the RBI also. So we expect certain clarification from RBI or banks as industry association in this regard shortly. But yes, it should be considered as a force majeure clause.
Yeah, the government has already announced that this is like a natural calamity, but we are very carefully giving communication to the exporters because there are certain contractual issues, there are certain legal complications. So we have obtained some legal opinion and we have created a safe draft which can be used by the exporters to deal with the customer or the banks, or even in the case government has of course realized this issue very early on, so they already announced the policy relaxations. And as Lokesh sir is saying, if there are any more issues, we will definitely keep flagging off to them and they will try and get those resolutions. There are a few more issues, whether any benefits are available for export of services. So I think, yeah, so there was an issue flagged by Manohar Khatri. Monthly, the issue was that fellow is being asked by the importer in Australia to test his equipment before dispatch, and on that testing he has to pay 18% of GST. So is there something, some rebate available to this particular provision? Nambiar sir? We had this issue in the earlier session also.
According to me, the GST being the consumption-based taxation, the service is consumed within the country here. Therefore, the payment is made for the service rendered within India. I think there is no waiver or exemption for a GST. He has to pay, he can claim the ITC, import tax credit. Input tax credit, sorry.
So he can claim the input tax credit as in a normal product.
Normal case, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
But there is at present there is no present there is no provision for a waiver or
no exemption. Not exemption because the service is consumed within the country.
Within the country,
yeah.
Even though it is in the process of export, but it is
That's
consumed
right.
in the country. Therefore, it is no exempt.
Not exempt. Yeah. Thank you.
So there is a question about SEIS. I think Lokesh sir has already answered. Maybe Lokesh sir or Rupesh sir can partly answer this. Exported consignments against LC, since banks are not operating at a full-fledged capacity, we cannot send a bill of lading to the importer's bank. And how could we then realize a payment in the present circumstances? That question is by Shailaja Joshi. So, Nambiar sir, would you like to take it on?
Actually, banks are working. Probably, the only problem may be the documentation is not able to reach there. See, even we get the online bank release order and everything. Bank is partially working. I think he has to speak to the bank. What the mechanism by which it can be delivered to them?
Okay. Then there is.
Banks are working for a limited time, period.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think that's a time we should be able to talk to them, and the method maybe today they can scan the document sent to them, and probably they can give an indemnity to submit that document as soon as the lockdown is withdrawn. Let them speak to the bank and find a solution.
Sure. So there is one question. Issue the application was submitted. Application for advance authorization extension was submitted before 1st of February, which has not been extended. Is the relaxation given in Public Notice 67 applicable in certain cases like this? Okay, sir.
Here it depends. The firm has already applied for the first extension in the export obligation period. It depends when this extended period gets over. If the extended period lapses in this window of 1st February to 31st July, they will be eligible for an additional extension. So they will be eligible.
Okay. Sir, parallel, I mean, there is some sub-question to the earlier question was for MEIS. The exporter is saying that the query is the script is in the name of the seller company, but due to the current situation, it was not transferred in his name as per the rule. So can we still use it?
So here the transaction is not complete. So the applicant who has raised this issue, he will not be able to use this.
Cannot use it.
Because the ownership is with the earlier entity.
Earlier holder.
So it should not, it will not be.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So there is one. Of course, this is a fundamental question. So I don't think anybody here on the panel can be able to answer. Due to COVID-19, exports would possibly decline in this year and possibly the next year. Can we get some relaxation in the average to be maintained?
There is a provision in the FTP, a general provision in the FTP, by which every year DGFT is issuing sectors for which there will be reduced AEP. However, if there is too much reduction in AEP, DGFT may consider it.
No. So do we have to separately represent to them right now?
There is time for this. We need not worry about this. But the issue raised by Nambiar sir, that will be flagged.
Right.
Because this every year DGFT as a rule, it comes out with a circular clarifying the extent of AEP relaxed for the particular sector. So we can wait for that.
Yes. So again, Nambiar sir, fundamental question. In spite of clear guidelines for waiver of ground rent or storage by CFS, most of them are not adhering to the orders.
That's true. But I think now the issue being discussed at various levels now, and there will be some definitely that an advisory of the Ministry of Home Affairs will be accepted by the stakeholders. I'm sure about it.
Sure. Is there any other query that we have missed out, because there were quite a few of them? Maybe Amol could count the number of questions. I have lost count, to be honest with you.
No, sir, we are good. Actually, few new questions are coming up.
Okay, so we'll wait for a couple of minutes if the panelists are okay. Generally, sir, Rupesh sir, its question is for you. What is the brief? Can you brief on the interest rate for agriculture exports?
Actually, there is no differentiation between agriculture export or any merchandise exports. Yes, exports lending to agriculture sector comes under the priority lending. So all the banks, all the financial institutions do lend to the agri, but there is no differentiation within the industries. So if there is any incentive, it will be available all the sectors. Yes, the banks have to maintain a certain portfolio of agriculture and they are lending to the sector.
Okay. So there is one question by Sumit Deshmukh. We have received letter from RA for DBK account has been revoked for alert, and we have received DBK for Sahar Air Cargo, but still Nhava Sheva DBK alert has not revoked and DBK not released. So is there a point, is there a general feeling among the exporters, or should we, is it worth representing, sir?
No, in this regard, I request the exporter to flag the issue in detail to us. They can mail it to us, because
Okay.
here they are talking about both the customs as well as RA.
Okay.
If it is held up at RA, we will be able to do our part. So
Okay.
let us see. Please let them send in detail by mail to us,
Okay. Okay.
because they have said we have received letter from RA for DBK account has
Yeah.
been revoked for alert. I am not able to completely understand the issue. So I request them to send the mail.
Okay. Okay.
Sir, people are asking for mail ID. So should they send questions to MCCI? Hello.
Hello.
So people are asking that they want email ID to send questions. So should they send it to you and then you can send it to Lokesh sir and Rupesh sir, or how do we want
I'm
to go ahead?
typing my email address here, and I will also type the email ID for Join DGFT. It is pune@dgft.in. Sir, that's right, sir?
Right. I will be mentioning the mail ID.
Okay.
We can continue with other issues.
Okay. Okay. Is there any comment on free trade policy in the Gulf? I think it's very difficult. As of now, we don't have a free trade agreement with any of the Gulf countries. That's what my knowledge, as far as my knowledge goes. So
And
here,
another question is, for export can Exim Bank provide funding?
sorry.
Another question is, for merchant export, can Exim Bank provide funding?
Yes, I made this point in the beginning that yes, merchandise exports can be funded by Exim by way of a packing credit. So any merchandise exporters who wants to avail this benefit or avail this packing credit can come to Exim Bank by way of, because right now there's a lockdown, they can send a detailed application to the email ID, which is already reflected on our website. So they can please send the application to Exim Bank.
So one fundamental question, Rupesh sir, for you. Generally, Exim Bank is regarded as a project finance company, like export-import project funding, and also the front line for lines of credit and all that stuff. So to what extent you would be having as a general rule or as a general framework, to what extent you are funding the general export import transactions?
Yes, you are correct. Prima facie, the Exim Bank has been G2G being a conduit for the government of India for lines of credit, and also we are also giving the line this refinancing lines to the commercial banks so that they can finance all the export transactions. Yes, we do also provide direct lending to the exporters, even though as I told, our presence is very limited in the Maharashtra. We have office only in the Pune, so we also provide direct finance to the exporters also. So these finance is not limited to the packing credit, but also to their increasing the capacities. By increasing the capacities, I mean the by giving the long-term loans to add the capacities in India. So the Exim Bank not only gives the refinancing facility, but also provide the direct finance to the merchandise exporters, and also being a conduit and helps all the policy funding by Government of India by way of lines of credit.
Sure. So is there any other question anybody wants to flag, or Lokesh sir wants to add anything before I hand over to Nambiar sir to deliver the closing remarks?
I don't have much to add here. I only request exporters to flag their issues by mail to us if they are in any problems, and we want to assure them that we are here to support them in this difficult time.
Yes, I think Mr. Ravi Kumar wants to ask a question. So that will be the last one. He seems to have raised the hand, but if there is a question,
Yes.
please go
Yes.
ahead. Please put it in the chat box.
Thank you, Mr. Sudha. Lokesh sir, good afternoon. I'm Ravi Kumar from TextProsil, Joint Director.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I am
Please
fine,
tell
sir.
me.
I'm nice talking to you. As
Go
you
ahead.
said, sir, certain issues you will be taking up with the DGFT headquarters. Sir, a request, one or two requests. As you are aware of the ROSCTL scheme, which is there for made-ups and garments. Now, the online application has been activated, but there are operational problems there, sir. First, problem number one is the rate 8.2% for cotton made-ups. Sometimes it appears at 8.2, sometimes 5, 6 different rates are coming, sir, when you apply online. Number two, the reduction of 4% from the actual entitlement. Wrong figures appear, sir. So we request you, if you can also take up this issue with DGFT headquarters, we can send you a detailed note on this.
Now, I request you to please send details to us. We will flag this issue to the headquarters. And
Yes,
at the
sir.
same time, I want to assure you that the DGFT is conducting a meeting every week with the head of the RAs,
Right,
and he is
sir.
monitoring the situation.
Right, sir.
ROSTL applications, we
Yes.
have been disposing them on the same day basis
Yes.
because it can be worked from home. Even
Yes.
Mumbai office, they are disposing ROSTL applications on the same day itself.
Right.
If you have any such operational or technical issues,
Yes.
kindly flag it to us. We will take it up with
So
you.
we will send an email to you, sir, with a request to kindly take it up. Second, very quick question, sir. This is the representation that are coming from the large number of exporters. As you know, DGFT notification number 52 dated 19th March has banned the export of masks for obvious reasons. Yes. But now, sir, the representation that are coming is there are exporters who are producing it, and especially from the SEZ zone. So the request is, if from the SEZ they are allowed to export, because SEZ throughout the country by and large have got the workers located in within walking distance or nearby, close to the SEZ, with little migrant laborers. So this is one request that is coming from SEZ. Second request is for the normal category of exporters, there can be a condition that they sell in the domestic market, and as a percentage of their domestic sale, they should be allowed to export, sir. These are the two representations that are coming from a large number of exporters, sir. So can we send you also a note and flag it with DGFT level? We will also do it at DGFT level, sir. No, it is sensitive.
I understand the council would appreciate the
Yes.
concerns of the government, because these are
Correct.
uncertain times.
Right, sir.
Government has made an assessment and come out with certain set of restrictions or relaxations or changes in policy. So
Right.
we will try to flag this issue. Let the council
Any which way, we'll send a request to you.
make a reference to us. We will certainly flag this issue.
Thank
But
you
at
very
the same time, I also want to stress that situations are not as simple as
Agreed, sir.
we
Totally.
think. So government is having a larger interest in mind while bringing these changes.
Agree with you totally, sir. And so, Mr. Lokesh, as usual, it's a pleasure talking to you. And thanks for your clarification and support. My next question, sir, can I address to Mr. Rupesh Kumar?
Sure.
Sir, as you have rightly mentioned about two things, one is the interest equalization scheme, the other one is with regard to the forward contracts. Sir, now this interest equalization scheme that 3% for notified products and 5% for MSMEs, the exporting communities are keenly looking forward towards an extension, because that expired, the validity expired on 31st of March 2020. So there are expectations that it is likely to get extended, but can you give us some feedback whether the extension is going to come? I mean, this is something which we could like to know from you, sir.
Yeah, no, actually, as all of you know, the actually why these schemes were restricted to this date, all of us know that it was to a compulsion.
Correct.
But now there has been some unprecedented times, and if there is any incentive given by the government of India, actually these are under discussions also, and these are some of the points which has come up with when our interaction with our SMEs particularly, that there should be some interest subvention, not only to the exports, but also to the domestic sales also. But I think as far as the exports are concerned and interest subvention, I don't think that will continue. But yes, the government will come with some interest subvention in one form or the other. And it is under discussions. Maybe it may be considered to some extent, but as of now, I can't say is because as I told you, it's under discussion. Maybe in coming months, there will be some incentives which will be given to the manufacturers, not only limited to the exporters.
Very good. Sir, Mr. Sudhanva, just two questions, if you permit me very quickly. One is for Mr. Rupesh Kumar, the last one. Sir, as you rightly mentioned about a forward contract, today what is happening with many exporters who are hearing me will also appreciate that there are payments not on time now, especially from US and Europe, and people are not able to surrender the foreign exchange against the forward contracts, and it is leading to cancellation or even a rollover. So as we all know, cancellation lead to huge cost because many of them have taken at 70, 71 and today 76, 77. So 4-5 rupees people are losing. So we have also represented, I'm sure you must have also done that, to help the exporters on this. Of course, it's a contract, commercial contract, it's difficult, but at the same time, some kind of a moratorium that you give some time to pay to the bank. Something like is something under your suggestion to the government, sir, on forward contract losses being incurred by the exporters.
As you will appreciate, the way you enter into a contract, bank also goes back-to-back contract.
Absolutely.
So bank doesn't take an open position. Say, for example, if we have taken any position on behalf of a client, we also will take a back-to-back position.
Right.
So we also will have a back-to-back contract, even though you may not like to, but as a bank, we have to agree and we have to make the payments on the due date. So what I meant to say, in that case, we need a special window by RBI. In case such a facility has to be extended to the exporters, it needs an intervention by RBI by giving some forex window to the banks. So it cannot be decided by bank on a standalone basis because banks themselves have entered into contracts with the foreign banks and the counterparts to mitigate the risk.
Very much. Thank you very much. And the last question to ECGC, sir. For
ECGC, sir, ECGC is not here.
Okay, they have already left, sir.
No, ECGC officer was not present here. They just sent us a presentation which we showed on their behalf.
Right, sir. Sir, just then we will address it to you, sir, for kindly request to take it up with ECGC. Sir, ECGC is issuing this specific buyer policy. So today what is happening when the payment doesn't come on the due date, the extension of that buyer's policy ECGC is not allowing. They are going by the past track record, and in these uncertain times, our request is that this specific buyer's policy should be given an extension for some times as a measure to provide relief to the exporters. We request you to kindly take it up with ECGC, sir. Thank you very much. All questions over.
Okay,
Mr. Ravi Kumar and Nambiar here, PC Nambiar.
Yes, Nambiar, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now all the SEZ is not working. Okay. Now the SEZ operations, they are allowed to work in a limited manner, provided those workforce is located within the SEZ, not from outside. So there is they are not allowing anybody to come from outside the SEZ area to work. There are some guidelines already issued, and therefore most of the SEZ are not working. Even SEEPs, for example, they are trying, and they are given undertaking then that they will do a social distancing in the bus itself. They will do quarantine. That even Bombay and Pune being the containment area, they said no. Even today they are not working. And as far as the sale of goods from SEZ to DTA is concerned, you can still do. There's no problem. If you're a customer, you can sell it off. There is no restriction on selling goods from SEZ to the DTA on payment of duty, as the case may be. And after the probably when the COVID the lockdown is gone, probably you can accelerate your exports and your NFE can be maintained properly. I think.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Nambiar. Thanks a lot for the clarification, Mr. Nambiar. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, thank you. Now, Sudhanva, can I summarize?
Sir, please.
Yeah. Now, if you look at the whole, the conversation that we had today, we have addressed issue 1, FTP issues. In FTP, there are something called time-bound compliances, like export obligation to be fulfilled within time, MES should be applied for within those time, and export obligation should be fulfilled and so and so, import has been completed. All those cases, wherever there's a time-bound limit given to you under the foreign trade policy, have been extended for 6 months, and sometimes 3 months, 4 months, etc. So that is basically what I said, that the foreign trade policy that government of India has taken preemptive action so that our exporter is not put in in hardship. So they have been addressed. Now there are some issues related to the LC and bank. The letter of credit and when it has to be submitted to the bank. Now because the letter of credit is opened by the bank for settling the payment. Therefore, what you must do, that respective exporter should deal with the bank directly, and they are available to you online. At least scan the copy and send to them, and seek their advisory. What should be done? Whether if they feel that the scanned copy of original documents are in line with the LC, probably they may permit you to send the document directly to their bank overseas if they are working. So that cannot be addressed here by our Mr. Lokesh or us. You deal with the bank. And there are major issues on logistics. Now, we all believe that export should go. But a point here, even there are a lot of export cargo piled up in Pune. There are not the logistics operators taking the goods from here, because Nhava Sheva is not working at full speed. Maybe 3 or 4 people are working there. They are not able to locate the cargo there. So there are full container load lying in Nhava Sheva, not able to get the container, the truck to carry that. All those cases are being addressed at various levels. We are addressing those issues at various levels, including the port authority, including the customs, and we are also trying to work with the associations how to deal with that. I must congratulate Mr. Lokesh for answering almost all the queries raised by people. Whichever under his control, he has been able to give a very positive and very pragmatic answer. And wherever issues are to be taken up with the headquarters, he has agreed to do so. So whatever the queries you have, you please put in the maybe mark to chamber, copy to Mr. Lokesh, or other way around. We'll be able to coordinate with them and try to lasering in Delhi for you to solve the problems.
Thank you everyone for participating in this engaging conversation. So hopefully we'll get to meet you in person very, very soon. But till the time, stay safe. And one more thing, some of the exporters are sending us the documents. We are able to certify it here with minimal operation. The chamber is functioning. Either on email or in person. If somebody brings the documents here, we are able to certify and send it back. So and of course we will continue these kind of interactions, and in case there are any policy level issues or if the procedural issues, or if the issues to be taken up in a collective fashion, do write to us. In the chat box you will find my email address, and of course most of you who have received the invitation would also have my email address. So in case you have any issues, do keep in touch with us, and let us hope that all of your export-import consignments go buzzing again in a very short period of time. Thank you so much. Nambiar sir, Lokesh sir, and Rupesh sir, thank you for sparing your time for being with us.
Bye.
Thank you all the panelists. Thank you.